Hey everyone, thanks so much for tuning into the show today. Before we get started, really quick, I want to share with you this. Right now over at equi.life, EQUI.life, we are offering 30% off every single one of our individual lab tests. These are the same lab tests that I've been using in my private practice now for over a decade, and we now open source these, getting them to people in over 30 countries all over the world. You can test for gut-based testing, food sensitivities, heavy metals, neurotransmitters, mold, environmental toxins, your vitamin levels, your mineral levels, literally anything that you've been wanting to know about the underlying deficiencies you have in your body or toxicities that can lead to dis-ease. These labs can show you those underlying root cause imbalances. I can't recommend them enough. They're what changed my life for the better, helping me to uncover all the different health issues that I had. And right now, you can save 30%. Not only do you get the lab, but you get an actual call with one of my EqualLife integrative health practitioner team members, plus a protocol that fits your needs based on your numbers and your unique story. Can't recommend enough. Head on over to equi.life/labs while supplies last. Now, enjoy the show.
Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the show. We're here today with our Total Wellness Tuesday episode, going over the environmental working groups, the EWG, which is a nonprofit, their continued work with telling you and really researching the absolute best fruits and vegetables that you can have in terms of organic or conventionally grown. So each and every year I've been going over this list with you, just kind of like the data trends from the American College of Sports Medicine with exercise and workouts. I also want to bring you, because the list actually changes each year, which foods you absolutely don't want to eat if you can't get them organic. And then also which foods, if you can't get organic, all right, these are the ones that are not going to have as much pesticide-based spray on them. So it's a really helpful list. You can also head on over to stephencabral.com/1929 to be able to download that full list. You can save it as a PDF, or the nice thing is it's a PDF, so you can download it that way. But the nice thing is as well, this is something that you can just take with you food shopping, so you don't have to memorize the list, but of course you'll be able to know what it is. All right, so a quick notes on this. Keep in mind that organic still oftentimes can have pesticide spray. However, and a lot of people don't know that, but the pesticides are approved, meaning they're far less toxic, and the other thing is that they can be organic in nature. So sometimes they'll actually use forms of citrus oil as a pesticide spray. Sometimes they will use actual metals like copper, and that's why, again, we'll be talking about that today, that you still want to go through a washing process, even with organic fruits and vegetables, if you purchase them from a local farmer that you don't know. And again, we're going to talk about where to find local farmers today. So we've got a lot of information to go over. So I just want to mention that about organic. It could be completely non-sprayed at all. So there are many farmers in the Massachusetts location area that I know, and there are also farmers locally in Maine that I go to that I know they don't spray at all. Like there's just zero spray at all. So of course, then we can eat all of those, no problem. There's no issues. Even on the organic, there's no issues at all. But one other thing with organic, and why I'm going to talk about a natural produce wash in just a moment, I would say after we go through the Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen list, I will share with you the wash that my wife uses as she kind of preps all of the different fruit for the week. It's super simple, very, very inexpensive, and you can make it right at home so that you don't need to buy one online, which will be, 10 times the price. Okay, so we'll talk about that. And the reason you still want to use that, even if there's no spray, usually is because there can still be bacteria and pesticides and other items on those foods, okay? So again, some people choose to eat it right out of the ground. I do sometimes, to be honest with you. If it's my own personal garden in Maine, I will eat a lot of these things right out of the ground. They have lots of bacteria on them. Much of that can be good probiotic bacteria for the gut. Doesn't work for everyone. Not necessarily saying you should do it or not do it. Err on the side of caution, I always say. I'm going to give you a nice little do-it-yourself produce wash at the end of the show. Okay, now for pesticides, if you don't know about how harmful pesticides are, I just want you to understand that glyphosate is now proven to cause cancer, okay? So they just, this is not new, I should say. It's about now 2 years old. Unfortunately, the first major court case awarded a worker that was using glyphosate to kill weeds around a school, got some on his hand, ended up with cancer, and paid out millions of dollars to his family. But unfortunately, he has 2 children, and those children, unfortunately, are probably going to grow up without a dad. And this is one of the big issues. So that's actually being dosed with glyphosate. But a lot of people say, well, there's no issues with pesticides because the FDA says it's okay. Well, you have to understand is they're looking at it in a microdose. They're not looking at it as a macro dose over years and decades. Okay, so I want you to just think about it another way, though. I wrote about this in my book, The Rain Barrel Effect, and I said that in labs, when they want to study cancer research in mice and what might be effective, is that they actually give the rat itself a dose of a pesticide, and that pesticide causes cancer in that lab rat. So then they can try to figure out how to cure cancer. And I always find this the strangest thing, because now, I'm not saying that pesticide automatically causes cancer. There are many things that cause cancer, but if we already know one of the things that cause cancer, why are we still spraying it on our food? Very, very strange, right? Very strange. And one other thing I want you to think about is this. A lot of people, use bug spray because you want to keep the mosquitoes away, or you want to keep the ticks away, or whatever it might be. And, think about, there's natural bug spray, which is what I've recommended many, many times. If you want to see the natural bug spray I recommend, you can just go to stevencabral.com/resources. It should be right on that page. And then, of course, you can go to stevencabral.com/podcasts if you ever want the in-depth knowledge of what it's all about, because I always go through it on my Friday reviews. So, my family, and I've been using it for many, many years. We use natural bug sprays, natural tick repellent, etc. I use it for my dog as well. But a lot of people still use DEET and off-based bug sprays, and these things are so toxic to the nervous system. I mean, they really are. But when we think about it, we're spraying bug spray, fungicides, herbicides, pesticides, antibacterials on the plants themselves, on the fruits and vegetables. Well, what happens is you eat all of that bug spray. Now you might say, well, I would never spray bug spray in your mouth, right? If you're putting bug spray in the body, you probably try to keep your eyes closed or keep your mouth closed, right? Well, it's honestly pretty much the same thing. When you spray it on food, you might as well just spray bug spray right in your mouth. I mean, people think that that's an exaggeration. It's not. You're eating bug spray that's on the outside of these fruits and vegetables that have been sprayed with bug spray. And they use different names like pesticide. Well, what are the pests? The pests are the insects, right? They're the bugs. We spray against them. So that's what really they're talking about. And with a lot of these genetically modified foods, they're genetically modifying them to be able to stand up to something like a glyphosate or a Roundup, right? And that allows them then to not totally destroy the plant, and yet the plant withstands then this, massive amount of pesticide. And if you've ever seen any of the photos, I put them inside my book, The Rain Barrel Effect. I know for sure they're on my, if you go to equa.life/detox, there's one there. And the people spraying these are typically in hazmat suits with full gas masks on when they're spraying these in the fields. And that's because they know they're poisonous. They know they could cause cancer. So I just don't want you to fall victim to any one of these harsh, health-based conditions because you've been consuming a lot of pesticides. Now, do I think it's the only thing to watch out for? No, I don't. But I did list it as one of my top 10, again, in my book. And that book, by the way, it's available anywhere, but also all profits go to charity. So, as I talk about the book, I want you to know that every single dollar that might come to me from that book, I donate to charity. And one of those is actually the Environmental Working Group. They're a nonprofit, and that's what we're going to get into right now. So the Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen are listing the 15 foods that are clean and that would be okay purchasing non-organic if you couldn't afford to purchase organic for everything. And again, I know that there's many people in that position. I was there myself, many years ago, thinking about, okay, I have this much to be able to spend on groceries. Organics cost twice as much. I can't afford to pay all of them. So I totally understand. And what I want to do is just make sure we help everybody make the best choices for sure. So let's go over that right now. And also I just want to state people have different biases towards the food they eat. So for example, in my family, we don't spend money wildly at all. But we do spend money on good food. There's no doubt about that. That's just what we've decided. It doesn't mean that it's the right choice. It's certainly not the only choice. We've just decided, my wife and I, hey, we're going to spend money on good quality food. And then that's what we do. And we'll just pull back in other areas. But for some people, they don't see the value in it. So I understand. So for the Clean 15, for people that don't see maybe the value in it, or they just can't afford all organic, these are the ones that are going to be less sprayed with pesticides. And then I'll give you a pesticide wash at the end of the show to use as well. And then for the Dirty Dozen, well, the Dirty Dozen means don't purchase these ones unless you can purchase them organic. Okay, so let's go over that right now. I'm going to pull up the list. Again, I will make that available for you at stevencabral.com/1929, which is where today's show notes and takeaways are. All right, so let me expand this. Let's go over the Clean 15 first. Again, these are ones that you could purchase non-organic. I still choose to purchase them organic, but if you wanted to purchase non-organic, these ones are going to be less heavily sprayed, or you could peel off the skin and it doesn't absorb into the flesh of the fruit or vegetable itself. All right, so cleanest to not as clean, but still in the Clean 15. So absolute cleanest, avocados, okay? So avocados, great one. They're starting to be genetically modified, so just make sure you never purchase genetically modified foods. If you don't know what genetically modified foods are, we'll try to link up my show on GMO foods today at stevencabral.com/1929, since that's a totally different topic. All right, avocados are clean. Sweet corn is clean. Think about corn. You can pull off that husk. Pineapple. Typically, you don't eat the outside of that pineapple. Just make sure your pineapple is non-GMO. Onions, okay, we're peeling off the outside of the onion. They're also growing under the ground. We have papaya. Make sure it's non-GMO papaya. They make GMO papayas, all right? So make sure it's non-GMO. Doesn't have to be organic, but make sure it's non-GMO. Frozen peas or sweet peas, they typically are going to be frozen because they've been, I don't know what you call it when you take the outside of the pea shell off, I guess maybe husking the pea, I don't know, but the peas, the inside of the peas. All right, we've got eggplants, we have asparagus, we have broccoli, one of my favorites, we've got cabbage, we have kiwis. That's it. That was a surprising one to me. It's interesting because kiwis can't be heavily sprayed because they have a very thin skin, so anything could move through that skin. And also, I don't, but a lot of people eat the skin of the kiwi. So just a little fun fact right there. Number 12 would be cauliflower, the cousin of broccoli. We have 13 as mushrooms. We have 14 as honeydew melon. And we have number 15 as cantaloupe. Again, honeydew melon, cantaloupe, you are peeling off the skin and you're eating just more of that inside. So I'm going to read that list one more time. From cleanest to moderately clean, which means, again, you don't have to purchase organic. Avocados, sweet corn, pineapple, onions, papaya, sweet peas, eggplant, asparagus, broccoli, cabbage, kiwi, cauliflower, mushrooms, honeydew melon, and cantaloupe. That is your Clean 15. All right, so that is the 2021 list, and it is different than last year. All right, it has been updated. So let's now go over the dirty dozen. Just a quick refresher. These are the ones, in my opinion, that you should never buy unless you can get them organic. And here's why. You cannot wash off the pesticides from these foods. Let me repeat that. You cannot wash off all of the pesticides from these foods because they get absorbed into the flesh of the fruit or vegetable. So again, it becomes part of the fruit or vegetables. You cannot get rid of the pesticides completely, which means no matter what, you are eating bug spray. All right, so it's not ideal. So what I always tell people is either don't eat these or buy them organic. That's where you're gonna spend your money. And then on the Clean 15, you may not buy those organic, all right? And then you can always use a pesticide wash. All right, so let's now go over these. Let's go from number 12 down to number one being the worst. So we're gonna go reverse order. All right, number 12 is tomatoes, okay? Number 12 is tomatoes. 11 is celery. I know a lot of people doing celery juice, right? It's been popular now for a couple of years. Anthony William, for sure, is popularized that. You want to be careful. You definitely do not want to juice non-organic celery. All right, you are juicing bug spray. I can't say that enough. Not good. So number 10 is bell peppers and hot peppers. Number 9 is pears. Number 8 is peaches. So always think about that soft skin, right? If it has soft skin, it's going to be absorbed in. Number 7 is cherries, really important one. I love cherries during the summer season. I believe tomorrow, on tomorrow's podcast, I'll be talking about eating seasonally. I absolutely love organic cherries, but again, it has to be organic. Number 6 is grapes. This is a big one. These are always on the list. Grapes are heavily sprayed fruit, heavily sprayed. This is also why if you're drinking wine, I can't recommend enough that if you drink wine, please go with an organic, ideally biodynamic based wine. Your headaches, your breakouts, your liver, it's all going to appreciate you to a far greater degree. All right, number 5 is apples. So just like pears, apples have that softer skin and you eat the skin. All right, so that's a big part of it. Number 4 is nectarines. Number 3 is kale, collard greens, and mustard greens. Collard greens and mustard greens jumped up on the list this year. They basically grouped them with kale. Kale, I believe, was number 1 last year. Number 2 is spinach. That's always typically in the top 3. Spinach absorbs in. It's a soft, leafy green. It absorbs in all of those pesticides as well. And number 1 is strawberries. Strawberries is always number 1. Number 2 or number 3, strawberries is always the top of the list. I know people love strawberries. I like strawberries as well. My youngest daughter, it's her favorite fruit. We never purchase strawberries if they're not organic. And I know that sounds kind of maybe elitist or snobby, but it's not. It's not. It's just simply a decision that I've made. So I talked about many podcasts ago on a Mindset and Motivation Monday. You have to just live by certain principles to make your decisions in life easy. I've just simply said, listen, I'm just not going to eat pesticides. I'm just not going to. I can purchase other berries. If I don't have organic, I can purchase other berries that are not going to have this level of pesticide. But strawberries are heavily sprayed. They are sprayed the greatest out of anything that I know. So strawberries are up there because they will just get eaten alive by bugs. All right. So strawberries you have to be very careful with. In my opinion, only purchase them organic or don't purchase them at all. Again, you can purchase frozen organic strawberries. Those are fairly easy to come by if you want to put them in your smoothies, but you really want to go with organic. You cannot wash off the bug spray from these items. So once again, tomatoes, celery, bell and hot peppers, pears, peaches, cherries, grapes, apples, nectarines, kale, collards, and mustard greens, spinach, and strawberries. Those ones you want to purchase organic, or in my opinion, don't purchase them at all. All right, so I've given you the Clean 15. I've given you the Dirty Dozen. Clean 15 can be purchased non-organic. Dirty Dozen should always be purchased organic. in my opinion. Now, all of those can be downloaded at stephencabral.com/1929. We'll also put other links there for the GMO-based show and anything else I've mentioned on the podcast as well. All right, so let's see. I want to give you now the recipe that you can use for your Clean 15 or really any fruit or vegetable as well that might be conventionally based or sprayed at all. Or if you ever have a question mark, feel free to just use the wash as well. All right, this is exactly what we do. We use an amber spray bottle, so amber glass. I've talked about this before, but again, I want to talk about it again here today. So it's a spray bottle, and you can just add 1 part vinegar to 5 parts water. Okay, some people do 1 part to 10 parts. We just use it a little bit stronger. 1 part vinegar to 5 parts water, okay? So it depends on the size, obviously, of the spray bottle, but typically it's going to be like a half a cup of apple cider vinegar. You can use white vinegar, either will work fine. And then you'll want to just do 5x that for your water. So if you have 1 cup, great. Then you can add 5 cups of water. And we'll do that when we have a bowl. So let's say we've got a lot of strawberries or a lot of whatever that we're washing. What we'll do is my wife typically does this, but just get a big bowl, that's all. Big bowl, big ceramic bowl or whatever you'd like to use, glass bowl. And you just want to put in 5 cups of water and 1 cup of apple cider vinegar or white vinegar. Again, either will do. The acidic nature will kill the bacteria. And then we typically, inside of the spray bottle or in your water too, just squeeze 1 whole lemon. So a half or a whole lemon, and that will give you that citrus as well. Again, lemon being quite acidic, not internally as you digest it, because of course it's loaded with minerals, but externally it is. So all of that will help. Some people put a pinch of sea salt. We don't. You're welcome to. And all of that will help. And then for your items like an apple or pear, something where you're eating the skin, you can use a scrub brush. And you can scrub it when you are about to wash it after you use the spray or inside the bucket of water. So let me make this a little bit easier. You're going to get a ceramic bowl or whatever bowl you'd like. Pour in 1 cup of vinegar, 5 cups of water, and if you want, you don't have to, but if you want to, add a little bit of lemon juice. Okay, so now we're done. We're going to let everything sit in there for 20 minutes or so, 30 minutes, that's it, and they're just going to float around and they're going to get washed. Then after that, what you can do, and we're just talking about berries and other things like that right now. After that, what you can do is we typically just put them on top of a dish towel and then put another one on top and then just pat everything dry. And then it's done. You can allow it to air dry as well. That's totally fine. But we like to just kind of wash off that coating right there. Now, if you're using it with a spray bottle, it's actually very easy as well. You can just put them all on your countertop, on a tray, on a plate, on a towel, whatever you'd like to do. And you can just spray everything with that spray bottle. And you can just allow it to sit on the fruit itself, and then you can actually just allow it to air dry if you want. So that's pretty easy. I actually like to, for apples, I give them just a polish with a scrub brush or with a towel, just to make sure there's no waxes on there either. All right, so that's exactly what we do. Again, it does not have to be difficult. This can just be done, let's say you do 1 or 2 shoppings per week when everything gets delivered or you go to pick it up. You're just gonna go right over, put them right next to the sink. Okay, you have your bowl right there, or you've got your spray bottle. Clean them, that's it. Put them right back in the fridge or on your countertop, wherever you prefer to keep them. So this is it. I mean, really, as long as you have the knowledge, which I'm really thankful for organizations like EWG, then you know what you can do, what you can get away with, and I think it's really beneficial. It really is. So there's always a way to be able to keep ourselves, and our families healthy. And this is just one great way to do that. So hopefully this was helpful. And of course, if it was, please do feel free to pass this information along to anyone else you believe it could serve. Take care, everyone. Thank you so much for just tuning into the show. And before you go, I want to make sure that you do not miss out on this week's special promotion over at equa.life. Right now, you can take 30% off all individual at-home functional medicine lab tests. The same exact ones that we use in our private practice, we are now open sourcing to the entire world. We literally ship to over 30 countries around the world, and every single at-home functional medicine lab test, not only does it come with a 30-minute consultation, a one-on-one meeting with one of my certified integrative health practitioners that's on the EqualLife team, but they are going to make sure that you understand your results. That is the big EqualLife difference. You can get a lot of lab tests that are popping up kind of all over the place now, but these companies are not providing you with what really matters. And that's the data, so that you don't need to Google search and figure out and find out all sorts of different things that may or may not be true. So you're gonna get a call with a qualified individual that is going to share with you exactly what those lab results mean based on you as an individual, not just based on the numbers. Plus, in addition to that, you are going to get a protocol that was meant for you. So based on your lab, based on your results, based on your personal story, you're going to get a protocol that fits you. That is the EqualLife difference, and that is why I cannot recommend at-home functional medicine lab testing through EqualLife enough. Right now, you can save 30% off most, or I should say all individual labs at equa.life while supplies last. So head on over to equa.life, that's equi.life/labs to see the already marked down 30% off. You can do gut testing with your organic acids test. We call that Candida metabolic and vitamins test. You can do the IgG food sensitivity test. You can do the bacteria and parasite stool testing. All three of those can be used for gut testing. You can choose one, you can choose multiples. You can do the stress hormones and metabolism test, which looks at your stress hormones like cortisol, your sex hormones like testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, DHEA. It even looks at your thyroid in 4 different spaces. It looks at your vitamin D, your insulin, and hemoglobin A1C. That's absolutely phenomenal. You can look at your omega-3 levels to see what your levels of omega-6s, which are inflammatory, to your anti-inflammatory omega-3s are. You can do a minerals and metals test to look at your mineral levels, your electrolytes, as well as heavy metals in your body. Neurotransmitters test, mold test, environmental toxicity test. There's so much right there that you can check out. So if you've been wanting to save 30% on any one of those at-home lab tests, this is our biggest promotion to date. We want to make sure that we get these labs into as many people's hands as possible. The information is life-changing. Head over to equi.life/labs for all the details. Take care.